Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian aboard Her Majesty's Danish ship Peter Willemoes to talk to the commanding officer of the ship, Senior Commander Kristian Haumann. Sir, thanks very much for hosting us.
Nice having you on board. You're always welcome.
This ship has drawn an enormous amount of attention. Full disclosure for people who know me, I've editorialized that this ship has a lot to teach the U.S. Navy as it looks for that next generation of frigate, given the ship's volume, its flexibility, and its range. Talk to me a little bit about some of the attributes as the commanding officer this ship brings your force.
Yeah, first and foremost, this is a nice ship to work on. It's a very nice ship for the crew, and it's a very nice ship concerning being a weapon platform. So that is actually why you have to design a good ship. The crew wants to be on board, and you can employ all your force, you can use your sensors, you can use your weapons. And we have really designed this ship, and it's in many ways fairly innovative, I would say, because we have gone a little bit in many areas, a little bit in another way than other navies have done.
For example, one of the things that you guys have is a very flexible weapons loadout system. You have a very flexible mission module system, and also a very economic powertrain. Talk to us a little bit about how easily your mission modules can be swapped out. That's something obviously for the littoral combat ship, for the U.S. Navy. There's a variety of mission modules, but you guys do it in a matter of hours, don't you? Shifting from one mission module to the next.
Yes, definitely. We have some standard container positions, as we call it, where we can switch which systems we have on board. Normally we have a standard set of systems on board, but if one of those systems breaks down or has to go into maintenance, we just take this containerized system out of the ship and change it with another system which works. And it literally takes, as you said, hours. You just unbolt these container positions, take the system out, of course disconnect it from the ship with the power supply and interface into the command managed system and so on. But that's just to unbolt it, take it out, put another one, and then plug and play, and then you're ready again. And we can do it with a harpoon system, with guns, with Sea Sparrow missiles. That's concerning the weapons, and then we have it concerning sensors as well. They are not fully as interchangeable, but they are still standardized. The interface is very standardized, so it's easy to unbolt it and put another sensor, another radar in that position.
Do you, from a overall ship capability standpoint, give us a sense on what your standard both sensor and weapons fit is when you're on most deployments? What are your air search capabilities? What kind of gun do you carry, and what kind of other hardware, sonar, etc., do you have as sort of a standard feature on the ships?
Yeah. To begin with, this ship is it's an air warfare frigate and surface warfare frigate. ASW is secondary. We do still carry a very good sonar, hull-mounted sonar on board the ship, but it's air warfare and surface warfare which are the primary tasks for this ship. And for that we have good sensor capabilities. We've got a long-range air warning radar. We've got a multifunction radar which directs our guns and our missiles towards the target. And then, of course, we have the harpoon missiles. We've got the Sea Sparrow missiles. We've got the 2-3-inch gun, and we've got a close-in weapon system, 35 millimeter fast-firing gun. In addition to these air and surface sensors and weapon systems, backing up the sonar capability, we've got ASW torpedoes on board for this secondary role. So fairly capable piece of frigate.
One of the other features that you guys have, which I thought was fascinating, was how many access panels there are, so that you don't necessarily have to cut through the hull to do major changes. Yeah. How much, tell us where some of these panels are, and how much easier it makes maintenance for you guys as, given that Denmark doesn't have a lot of ships, you guys spend quite a lot of time underway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have these, as you say, access points and access routes concerning all the material we have got on board throughout the ship, actually. When designing the ship, we had to put this into the design in order to minimize costs and the running costs as well. So we, as you said, do not have to cut holes into the ship. So we've got it from the CIC. If you have to take larger consoles out, we got it from the engine compartments. Actually, throughout the ship, it's only more or less if you need to change an entire main engine. We've got 4 main engine diesels. If you at some time need to change one of them completely, then of course that's a major thing. Then you have to cut. Otherwise, normal daily running maintenance, you just take these hatches off. There's a route, and then you change what is defect with a new piece of equipment.
What kind of range do you get at your most efficient speed?
Well, the most efficient speed is around 14, 16 knots, and at that speed you get nearly 10,000 nautical miles, just a little bit below that. So yeah, we can be on station for a very long time, I can tell you.
How much excess payload capability do you have also? Because each of your ships, it's a very large ship, you have a lot of volume in it, but it also gives you a considerable amount of payload capability, not as much as the flexible ships, but how much excess, cargo, payload, mission module capability do you have that's built into the design?
Yeah, as you said, we have built that capability into the ship. When we designed the Epsilon class, which has this large flex deck, we found out why not make call it small flex deck in this ship. It's not comparable to the Epsilon class, which is a big cargo deck. But we do have a cargo hold in this ship, in the aft part of the ship, just below the helicopter deck. There's a hatch in the helicopter deck, which through which we can load 20 feet standard ISO containers. We can carry 4 of them in this cargo hold. So we can carry extra spare parts, we can carry extra food, cooling capacity, and whatever is actually needed for a long deployment.
You guys also have done and been very effective in the counter-piracy patrols, both in Atalanta as well as all the task forces that have been operating there. What's the ship's complement, and how many extra folks can you put on, whether it's for a commodore, a command staff, or law enforcement officers, intel, etc.? How much extra manpower capacity does the ship have?
In total, there are 100, to be exact, 173 bunks available on board the ship, and the crew size is 117 persons. So we've got these nearly 60 extra bunks available in the ship. So we can take, as you say, a lot of different specialists on board, and tailor the crew for the specific task which we're going to perform.
And does the 117 include an aviation detachment in it, or is that something extra?
That's extra, like the doctor, the nurse, the legal advisor, helicopter crew, air crew, helicopter crew. So specialists. They are in addition to these 117. 117 is those who run the ship, the core size of the crew, and then you add on. And normal, if you deploy for a normal, you should say, normal task group type of mission, not like going for pirates where you need military police and all that, I would say we would normally be 125, 30 persons on board with these extra specialist intelligence people and so on. But that's specialist, and actually it's specialist normally also coming from other parts of the armed forces in Denmark, from the Army, from the Air Force. Of course, we, the crew, are from the Navy, but these specialists often come from other branches.
Does you were in the wasn't the ship in the documentary?
There's been made a documentary for this concerning this ship. It's Discovery Channel, Mighty Ships. Just search on the internet and then you will find it. Where we had this Discovery Channel crew on board for a week, where we trained, fired missiles, fired our guns, and where you can actually see how the organization works during battle, fighting fires, fighting flooding, firing real live missiles and all. And that's in that documentary.
And everybody should check it out because it's actually really interesting. With a small crew like this, obviously you do it with a lot of automation. The U.S. Navy is getting more comfortable with automation, but still has concerns about it, especially worries about a damage control, for example, where the extra bodies are important. From your standpoint, is the crew size too small? And if it's not too small, how do what's the trick to getting the most out of a very small number of people who are on very, very long deployments sometimes?
Well, the deployment is not what's it called, where you need more people. That's not where you need more people. Is in first degree of readiness, where everybody is on duty, fighting the war, countering the enemy, fighting fire and flood. Then everybody is on duty. That's where you could find out or see if you have too few, or you will find out if you have too few people on board. We have been testing this ship in a real, as live environment as you can, concerning flooding, firing, fighting enemy. And we have found out these 117 persons, they are sufficient. You might say, and that's what we have found out, maybe a handful more, maybe 4. That's actually how it is. Maybe 4 persons. Then you are fully ready for everything. Otherwise, 117, 120 is sufficient to run this ship.
You guys also do a sea swap where you regularly shift crews. How do you guys do this? Where I've been told by several people in the Danish Navy that basically the airplane that brings the new crew is the airplane that also takes the old crew off and back home.
That is literally what is happening. The new crew arrives. Normally, the way it works is that you pull in a port with your ship the day before the new crew arrives. Then you prepare the last things and pack up your personal belongings and all that. And then the day after you have pulled into port, a plane with a total new crew arrives. They go on board the ship, and key personnel give the tells what is happening with the ship and the operation, and make sure that the new crew is ready. And then after the key persons have had this introduction to the operation of the ship, the rest of the new crew arrives on board, and then the former crew leaves with the same plane and flies back home to Denmark. So it's actually done in few hours.
That's extraordinary. From a maintenance standpoint, how much of the maintenance on any of your systems are you guys doing yourself, and how much of it do you rely on contractors for?
I would say day-to-day running the ship is 95% is maintained and run by this crew, these 117 persons. Of course, if you have a special defect, then you bring experts in. Otherwise, it's the crew who runs the ship. Then at certain periods, we of course go into a little bit longer maintenance period where we pull into a shipyard and some contractors come on board and do stuff. But otherwise, it's the crew who runs the ship in total and maintains and paints and cleans, of course, and runs the ship day to day. So very few contractors needed.
And it's an extraordinarily beautiful and clean ship, so you should be really proud of your team. When you guys are, what kind of when you're, from an American standpoint, we have our own deployment model. Yeah. It's a very, very different set of needs, obviously, what the United States needs as sort of a global force and what Denmark needs. But what kind of rotation are you guys on? how much time do you guys spend underway? How much time do you spend in the shipyard? And if you can give me whatever the baseline period you guys use for that is when it comes to these Iver Huitfeldt-Class sort of heavy, large frigates.
Maybe there are two answers, because if we take the operational part, then if that was what you were asking for,
I was asking for both of those pieces, right? From the maintenance piece of it as well as for the ops piece.
Concerning the operational part of it, normally we are at sea with the crew 120, 140 days, some per year. Some years, if there is a task, a special operation which we participate in, then it comes up to 160, 180. But that's not normal. Normal is 1/3 actually of a year you are at sea, and 2/3 you are in your home base. And when you deploy with the ship, the platform, what we try to aim at is that a crew, before being switched with another crew in the same platform, the same ship, there should be not more than up to 4 months. So a deployment period for a crew is maximum 4 months. We aim actually at 3 months, but due to operational schedule, we tend to go up to 4 month period, and then another crew comes and takes over the ship, as mentioned before. Concerning the technical part, we in a 2-year period, the ship has to go into shipyard for 3 weeks, go into dock and be in a dock for 3 weeks, and then go back to naval base and have the last maintenance there. So the operational time of this platform is actually very, very high.
And you're also keeping a clean bottom, which keeps you very efficient.
We also keep a clean bottom, I can tell you. The paint is it's red, but it's green. It's very environmental friendly, actually.
Yeah, and do from a habitability standpoint, talk to us a little bit about the habitability features. U.S. ships tend to have large berthing spaces with lots of sailors in one space. You guys really have transitioned much more to a stateroom model. Yes. And you also have, talk to us a little bit about the accommodations, what sort of bathroom facilities there are, and also how much connectivity the ship has, which seems to be a slightly different model than we have in our Navy.
Yeah, the comfort of the crew we find very important. So what we have made in these class of ships is cabins, which maximum have 4 persons in them. So 4 bunks maximum per cabin, and each cabin has got his own toilet, his own bath. So yeah, it's very comfortable actually to be on board. Of course, you're away from your family, but having said that, then it's comfortable to be on board the ship. And concerning ability to watch TV, to connect to the internet and so on, we have Wi-Fi nearly throughout the ship. Of course, not in the operational part of the ship, but in the living spaces and in the wardroom and so on, we have Wi-Fi, and you can connect with your smartphone, your tablet, and whatever. Of course, if there is an operational situation where we do not want people to connect to the internet, then we just switch it off. We do that, of course, also. But in a daily where there's no special threat or anything special, operational safety, then everybody's allowed to access the internet, Facebook, post on Facebook, of course. That requires, of course, that you educate your crew. They have to know what you can post on Facebook, what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say, and so on. So that's, of course, you have to educate your crew, but we do that, and that works, no problem. Nope.
Let me ask you also about one of the challenges that all modern ships, especially ones as connected and efficient as this, is cybersecurity and cyber protection. From that standpoint, how secure is this ship? Do you have any special features on it to protect some of the ship systems, navigation systems, combat, other systems? Okay. We were aboard a ship very, very recently, and the commanding officer told us that he said you would be stunned how much of our enormous computing power is actually done for cyber protection to protect the systems. Do you guys have sort of a similar model?
Yeah, I don't know if it's exactly the similar model, but our systems, depending on which classification they have, they are completely separated. So of course the internet does not connect to the navigational system or the engine control system or the command management system. So they are separated. So that's the way physically we separate them. So we do not get any viruses or any. Well, I cannot say that we could not get cyberspace attack. Of course, that is possible, but we do a lot in order to make sure that that doesn't happen, like everybody else does and have to do. But of course, the internet and the Wi-Fi is completely disconnected from the operational systems in the ship.
When you guys are steaming in general, how many people are on your underway watch? How many people are up here on the bridge? How many people are below in engine control or in the engine rooms when it comes to just the running of the ship? And then, if you want to add who's in CIC and a couple of other things, how many people are actually engaged and on watch when you guys are driving the ship?
When normally not in a second or first degree of readiness, when we're just deploying from, you could say, one position to another position. On the bridge where we are now, there'll be an officer of the watch, there will be a lookout, and there will be a helmsman. So 3 people up here. Then in the engine control room, there will be an officer and 2 ratings. So that's 6 persons. There will be an weapon and IT person on duty. So that's 7. And then there will normally be 4 persons in the CIC. So not many people are on duty. 10, 12, 15 at the maximum. When we are just running from A to B. Then, of course, if we are in second degree of readiness, which is the normal degree of readiness we are in when we are in an operation, then it's actually half of the crew. Of course, depending on the threat, we take the entire half of the crew on duty, or we take some away from that second degree of readiness. But just running from A to B, it's these 12, maximum 15 persons on duty at any time.
And does that include people who are like runners, for example, who will go and check the engines and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And
Yes. These as I said, 1 officer and 2 ratings are in the engine control room. The officer normally always is in the engine control room, and the 2, you call them runners, the 2 ratings, they check if there's something which the alarm panel says, or if some indicators say that they have to go and check it, then they go physically to check it. But they can see a lot. Most of the things can be fixed from the engine control room. So that is included those runners.
But guys are going down into these spaces all the time just to check them anyway.
Yeah, because when you're not on duty, then of course people are maintaining the ship. So people are down, but they're not on duty and they're not checking things just to check them, of course. But that's the 2 or 3 guys in the engine control room, which goes down and checks things based on the alarm list and so on.
Occasionally when American analysts have a tendency of looking at ships like this, where there's a lot of automation to them, or there's been a lot of commercial standards, they say, well, they're not really built to a warship standard. The equipment's not shock tested and it's not shock mounted, and it doesn't have the attributes of a warship. You've spent your decades in the Navy and driving ships. Does this ship have standard shock mounting, standard damage control features, and anything that you would find in any other combatant?
Yeah, this ship fulfills all NATO requirements to a warship, to a frigate, concerning CBRN, concerning shock protection, concerning everything. This is completely a warship. It might, or not might, but we have made other ways to, for instance, shock protect systems. We take an entire, what we call an island, and put not shock protected equipment on board that entire island. So we're just shock protecting the deck, hence also having the equipment shock protected. So it fulfills everything like a NATO warship, and it has been tested. We have had what's it called, explosions along the ship side to see if it was shock. So everything has been tested, and concerning damage control and flooding and fire and all that has been tested in training facilities. UK has got a training facility, Flag Officer Sea Training, where we have been for 6 weeks, completely tested with a lot of UK personnel on board, wreckers. So they actually wreck the ship, and we have to fix it. And they could see this ship works like a warship. They actually didn't believe it was, like you say, that it was a real warship. It's too cheap and all that. But having tested the ship in a as close as possible to a warfighting scenario, like at Flag Officer Sea Training in UK, they agreed this is a warship, and it really works as a warship.
Well, and for people who don't know what the FOST is, it is one of the world's toughest courses that a warship can go through, and you guys aced your interval there. So congratulations for doing that. You know, one of the reasons, though, people sometimes ask those questions is that 3 ships of this class were built for less than $1 billion, about $860 million, for 3 ships, 3 large frigates, fully equipped with weapons and combat systems for less than $1 billion. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why people are asking that question is it's a tremendous value.
It is a tremendous value, and that is actually because, well, things do not always have to cost a lot to be efficient. And I can tell you, this ship, as you said, it doesn't cost a lot, but it is extremely efficient as a warship.
One of the questions is, it is a very, very large ship, but what kind of draft do you guys have, and what kind of shallow water capability do you have?
Actually, the draft is not that big. It's 6.5 meters when we're fully loaded with fuel and so on. I guess that's something like 20 feet or something like that. So it doesn't have very large draft. So we can actually go into shallow places, littoral, and many different harbors, and
and you said that at one point they wanted to take you further up Baltimore Harbor, but you decided that it might not be as good of an idea to go as far up the river.
Yeah, we are in Baltimore now, and they wanted us to go into the inner part of the harbor, and I'm perfectly happy with that concerning the maneuverability of the ship, which is excellent. You can park this ship without tugs, no place or nearly no space, just enough for the ship. You can park it because it's so maneuverable. But of course, the draft gives some limitations, although it's not that big draft. And getting in there, it was not the room in the port, but it was getting there, which was the problem, because the harbor master told me that if I had some expensive gear in the bottom of the ship, then I shouldn't go there, meaning you could bump into something on the bottom, and of course that doesn't work. We got the sonar dome, we got the propellers, and of course that doesn't work. But normally I go into areas where, of course, slow speed, 8 meters water depth. That's okay with slow speed.
So how do you get into such narrow spaces? Is it because you have a bow thruster?
Yeah, we have a bow thruster, and we have controllable pitch propellers. We've got two of them. We got 2 rudders, so we can sail this ship in whatever direction you want it, forward, aft, to each side, and that makes it very easy to park when you go alongside.
Sir, thanks very, very much. We really appreciate you hosting us.
Nice having you on board.